sermon today is when the donkey talks. You know, I'm even laughing because during the week while I was preparing this sermon, I was laughing all the way through. Because can you imagine a donkey talk? So this is what happened, right? So the scripture reading say, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, well, just reminding you that the scripture reading is number 22 from verse 27 to 30. And it say, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, what have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you have made a fool of me, I wish I had a sword in my hand, for then I would kill you. And the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey, on which you have ridden all your life long to this day? Is it my habit to treat you this way? And he said, no. Let's stop it right there. Like, I can't stop smiling. Let's just imagine for a second. You walk down in the street and you find a dog that talks back to you. How are you going to do? I would certainly run away. There are few things that human brain cannot grasp, cannot imagine. We're not designed to hear an animal speaking. And if that happens, it will awaken one of the most inexplainable instincts in your body to run away for your life. Like, can you imagine a donkey? Why you beat me? I'm like, whoa, I'm out of here. Something is wrong. But unfortunately, in the Bible, I have seen, I don't know if there's more, I have seen 2 circumstances that human beings that were made in the image of God, they actually parlayed with an animal. Can you remember what's the other scene? Let's see how many. It's actually the most famous part of the Bible. You guys remember?
Oh, the serpent.
The serpent! Yes. Eve! Eve, the smartest human being, I believe. Like, nobody in these days has the capacity that Adam or Eve had. There's not going to be another human being like that. But Eve spent her time talking to serpent and reasoning with the serpent. That caught my attention. I don't care what the serpent said. It's just the point that the fact that Eve really replied back, didn't even run away, I was like, something was wrong with Eve way before she came to that tree. Definitely that's the point. Because I would not doing that. That's just human instinct. You have to have problem before, right? So we have a situation here of a man that is supposed to be a man of God. Now let's think about one more thing. In our society, what does a donkey represent?
Bird, at least a bird.
Yeah, like whenever you say, you're a donkey. Exactly, stubborn, stupidity, idiocy, whatever you name it. The worst you can imagine that is not intelligent, you will represent it with a donkey. The point that you reach yourself talking to the worst, that is the opposite of what is intellectual. Like, let's say, stupidity, right? You can't even measure stupidity. So because we can't grasp it, we use donkey as a representation of that. When you find yourself in a situation talking to what, symbolically represents stupidity, there is a huge problem there. Like, that's why it still make me laugh, right? Reading this passage again. Now, we find this man really spending time talking, right? But then here, it sounds like the donkey is smarter, right? But before we go there, let me put you 2 things, right? The first time we heard an animal talk was Satan. The second time, we see here it's not Satan, it's God. We need to understand what's really going on here. I mean, is it that there are agencies or beings that can get into an animal and make them talk? Is it God doing the same as Satan did? Because Satan did it first. Made him and Eve speaking to serpent. Now God is doing the same thing. All right, that was the puzzle for me. I was like trying to understand what's really going on. Okay, very quickly, succinctly, and I'm not going to go deep, just to not derail from the topic. Satan and whatever agencies, the way God created things, they actually don't really have the ability to get into the animal. So what he did use was an illusion, right? It's a little bit hard to explain what an illusion is. It's basically make something like that exist but distorted in reality. So let's say the thing is there, is real, but it's distorted. So Satan spoke outside of the serpent, but Eve perceived that the serpent is actually the one speaking. So there is the way the human nervous system is designed, there's no empty space there so that other beings can get in and enact things to move and making you talking. There's just none of that. Well, scientists haven't found that. If they find it, we'll figure out. But God didn't create men like that, right? So Satan always use illusion. And even when he leads people to temptation, he uses it by suggestion. So suggestion is like, I talk to you, convince you into something. That's why if he was able actually to get into you, he would just force you to do what he wants. But he can't force you. He has to suggest you into do what he wants to do until you eventually give all yourself up to him. And then he now have the whole control of you. He can't do that by bypassing your willpower. Now, in here, though, we are dealing with a different agency. We're dealing with God. Now, this is a little bit more complex because God has a creative power. That's the difference between God and Satan. God can create, can give life. Satan also have a lot of power, but he cannot create and give life. That's what the signature of a God is, creator. So, it's possible that here, instantly, God have given faculties, have enabled neurological faculties in the donkey instantaneously, for him to have higher capacities to talk, right? Or he's God, right? This is not an illusion. It could be, but also we have other clues that we'll talk in a little bit. Right? Now, why do I say that? So, and I like to always to go back in that, and I don't know why I always like to talk about the brain. I was like, maybe that's why God made me to study that. So, human brain and animal's brain are different. Because animal brain, in one word, is ruled by instinct. You gotta eat. You gotta preserve your life. So those are the two main instincts. And then we have reproduction and stuff like that. But feeding, life preservation are two big ones. If you ever try to kill an animal, you'll see how they fight back. They'll fight back to the point that they can even kill you if you don't really do it very well. So here is a situation that this guy is smiting the animal, and he actually already wanted to kill him. And the animal definitely perceived that. But instead of his self-preservation, animal self-preservation instinct to kick in, he decided to be quiet and actually utilize reasoning. Now, human brain, on the other hand, we do have all those same packages the animals they have, instinctual packages. You don't want to die, you want to eat, and then stuff like that. That's just basic blueprint of how we are. But on top of that, God have given us what he called his image, which is reasoning. That comes with a lot of things. Judgment, right? Love, and all these higher faculty. And the crown of that makes you that you are a reasoning being is because you can talk. That you ain't going to find no other living being apart human being in this planet the ability to speak. Do you see what I'm saying? So that is what set us apart from the animals, right? We can reason. What does that? What is the reasoning in actually? The reasoning is there to keep those instincts in check. Because if those instincts are not in check, they will overrule you and make you act like an animal. And that's what happened. If you live solely by your instinct, you live for food, you live for sex, you want reasoning. And whatever the instinct kicks in, you will try to achieve it with whatever means you want to do, be that inside the marriage or outside the marriage, with whoever you want to do, same sex or not. You're just trying to get that instinct going and gratified. But then that's why we have reasoning. And that reasoning is strengthened by the word of God, which says, thou shalt not. Amen. And then when you think about, oh, I like that sister. But then the Bible says, thou shalt not. Okay. That's how you keep everything in check. And that's how the image of God is exalted. Amen. Now here we can see in this story that that's not what's happening. This man, in this conversation, look at this. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said, the donkey said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times? But look, this is a question. The donkey is asking a question. Basically, the donkey is reasoning. You start reasoning when you start asking questions, right? And then Balaam said to the donkey, because you have made me a fool, I wish I can kill you. Look at him. He didn't even instantly think, why are you talking? That should be the first question. Hey, why are you talking? No, he's like, I want to kill you. That man was so completely blinded that all he was thinking is to kill. He was no longer reasoning, right? And the donkey said again. The donkey even replied. And am I not your donkey on which you have ridden all life long to this day? It's trying to bring him to a remembrance. Hey, I'm a donkey. Can you see that? Can't you see that? And he's like, and the donkey even continued to say, is it my habit to treat you this way? And he actually could reason a little bit and he's like, no. That was enough to tell you, hey, something is wrong here. But he continued. Then, okay, let's stop right there because I don't want to bring other stuff. The donkey was reasoning. The man was not. Was now with his anger. Anger is another passion, is another instinct. Very highly connected to instinct. Shuts down your reasoning completely. All those things, and I wish I had an image to show you. There's like I always say, from here in the middle of your head, all the way to the back, you have a spinal cord that comes all the way down here. All this part is similar to almost all animals' brain, except that we have this frontal part that is very, very different. We actually have the biggest one, right? And more sophisticated one. That part here is which control all these huge percentage of the brain. Now, Satan, his success into making us to do what he wants is to change that dynamic, making all the impulses that come from below to overrule the small part that we have that makes us image of God. You speak because we have something here in the frontal side that makes us speak. You reason and judge and stuff like that. Now, we won't know what God did because he's a God. It could be real that this donkey, God instantaneously gave him ability to talk, or it could be because there's another clue here that the Bible says. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw an angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed down and fell on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to oppose you because your way is perverse before me. Two things. There was an angel very close to him. Imagine, for you to kill somebody with a sword, you have to be this distance. The angel was not standing afar like this. No, he was really ready to kill him. He was like this. So he was too close, but Balaam was so drowned with his passions and instinct that he was unable to see a vision, an angel of God right there. Right? But look at the question of the angel that caught my attention. What did the angel first ask? Why are you treating badly this animal? The angel was advocating for the animal. See, that's highlight how God also valued the life of the animals. But the second thing is, Balaam have shown some intercessory position, and the angel didn't eventually kill him. But here's another thing. Behold, on the verse 34, when the angel continued to say, Behold, I have come out to oppose you, because your way is perverse before me. Now, here is what I want to give you after we spoke a little bit about the donkey talking and stuff. What was really going on here? Why this happened? Why they now fight between a man and a donkey? Now, there's a situation here. This is related to Israel people. Israel, the God-chosen people, have just been conquering and beating up everything that comes in his way, and they were greatly blessed. And there was this king that was so jealous, was evil, that didn't like it, and was finding a way to try to destroy them. But he was so coward that he didn't want to go fight. He wanted to find superstitious means to destroy those people. And there was this man who used to be a prophet of God called Balaam. This guy was not just any other man. He was even famous because he was a man of God. But he had a little problem. He was a covetous man, covetousness. He loved the glory of the world. He loved the goodness, the good name, the fame, and stuff like that, although he professed God. But the problem is, as time went on, that spirit really took sway on him, that his love for the world was greater than his love for God. So what happened is, this king sent a lot of rich princes and to try to persuade him to come and profess a curse to those people. Here is a lesson. God's people, for us, when we are with God, there's no way Satan can destroy us directly. Amen. He has to find a way, usually someone from within, right? Like Balaam, which was a prophet of God, to come and pronounce a curse. Just like Pharaoh did with Israel. When Moses would do a miracle, Pharaoh would do a counterfeit with sorcery, right? God do one miracle, Pharaoh used his sorcerers to do his thing. So here, this king, because he's a pagan nation, thought by obscurantive methods to curse those people. Now, Balaam, knowing very well the will of God, number one, should not even entertain the conversation from those princes. Number one, you already know what God says. So when you see somebody that is not coming from a godly perspective, you don't even talk to them. But he said he still even invited them to come to their house, and they started talking. Although he rejected them, but he still parlayed with them. He still talked to them. See, you don't talk with temptation. It's just a matter of time until you fall. But then, obviously, he loved all the gifts that he was promised, that he gave away at a certain point and decided to follow them. And when he was following them, to do what God did not instructed him to do. See, he knew that God was not going to curse Israel, but he still went away, and God actually allowed him to go. But on the way, God wanted to show him clearly that, hey, you know I'm not going to curse my people. Why are you still going? But he was so eager to get that money that he didn't want to waste time. And when the donkey was trying to act, not trying to move him his way, he's like, I'm going to kill you. I need to get the money. Right? And that was the situation. So then, obviously, God allowed him to go. But then, as God always do, sometimes we'll use the unfortunate situations to make good come out of it. God is like, okay, you're really determined to go and do your job, but okay, I'll still show up to you and prove you that there's no way you're going to curse these people. On the other hand, you'll testify to these people that I am the God who protect these people. And Balaam went there, but obviously among all that flattery, he did some sacrifice, and he also spoke like three times. Like 3 times he showed like, hey, we can't really curse these people. And the king was angered to him. Yeah, like, why, I call you to come here to curse these people, but you're here blessing them, And when the king said, okay, you're useless, Balaam, you can go away. I mean, I call you to come and curse. You keep on blessing them. I don't know. It's like, I'm like, I can't do nothing. They have Almighty God, But then later on, Balaam was like, okay. Although God was forcing me to bless them, there's a way we can do. Give me the money. I'll show you the way how to do it. And it's like, okay, bring me all the beautiful girls. And like what happened during the beginning between the Seth and Cain's kids, let's mingle. If they just mingle with our girls here who worship Baal and stuff like that, don't worry, it's just going to be a matter of time. Just give me the money, that's fine. And he took the money and he devised the idea. So I'm actually summarizing it. The Bible actually is a little longer in this story. And obviously he utilized these men. Also another thing that sounds familiar, right? Using females to make the sons of God depart from God. And that happened. That was effectual because he was a man of God. So he knew what he can do to make God's anger kindle against his people because he was a prophet, right? Only a false prophet. He derailed later on from his path. And here it is. He managed to achieve his accomplishment, and there was a terrible pestilence happening in Israel. And how does that happen? You might think, and the Bible says, God punished them. But it was not God punishing them. It's simply once you get away from God's path, and let me bring that and highlight that very importantly. Balaam was unable to curse the Israel because Israel was staying with God. Amen. As long as you're praying, as long as you're doing your devotion, as long as every night, there's going to be a wall of protection around your house, amen, around your church, around everywhere, amen, you are. Everywhere you go, Satan wouldn't be able to do anything to destroy it. Amen. However, whenever you depart from God, right, then there's no longer that wall of protection. And the devil will have his sway at him. And trust me, once the devil has just a little bit of windows to get into your life, it's going to be a matter of seconds to cause the destruction. We saw it in Job's story. Once God said, you can go ahead in the same day, fire from heaven, walls falling down, everything. That's how Satan wants to destroy you. And obviously, Balaam knew, okay, if I make these people to derail from God, God will leave them. And now they are all ours. And then Satan sent this pestilence, people were dying. And another point I want to highlight here is those situations was happening at the borders of Canaan. The only distance between Canaan and them was the Jordan River. They were almost in what took them out of Egypt. Almost there, that's where the apostasy happened because of the false prophets within the church, right? And this happened, and obviously in the story we heard that once the people repented, came back to God, God then through Moses instructed Israel to go and destroy that nation that was, influencing them to leave God. And during that time, even Balaam himself, the man who spoke with the donkey, was killed. Right? Now, this is a very interesting story. I thought that we should we should meditate on that. We should spend some time and talk about it, as it's important to know our relationship with God. Right? If you are only a reasoning being when you are with God. Amen. Once you depart with God, even talking to an animal will look normal to you. You ain't going to run away and that is true. Like, you think this is kidding? Look at what the news have been showing us. Before, I think not even 20 years ago, you could clearly see a distinction between a Christian and non-Christian just by looking at them, because of how their demeanor and how they carry themselves. But today, evil have been shown to us so much that what used to be obnoxious, what used to be despiseful, is something that it's normal. Oh, there was a shooting outside. Oh, yeah. Before that, like, somebody died. Oh, my goodness, what happened, right? The whole community would be shocked. But today it's like, oh, one more thing. But we're getting normalized. And all these desires of flesh, such as the tendency to follow our instincts, it has just become so normalized that it's no longer offensive into our eyes. We are desensitized, and we're not that far to the point where Balaam reached, to talk to animals and relate to them as we are in the same level. And that's the goal of Satan, and that always have been the purpose of sin, to debase you to that level. So let's meditate on that, and let's regain the image of God, which is our reasoning ability. Thank you so much.